day, and my life is, and well worth it, it's all about coping. And that's what brought me to comedy, because accidentally I found this comedy to be an incredible coping skill or tool. And that came out of, as I talked to you earlier, in April 19th, 1977 was kind of the middle of the stand-up comedy boom. It started right in 75 with Catch and an Improv and the Comedy Store out here in LA. And I was not a student of comedy. I love comedy. But I watched The Tonight Show like anybody else. I never said I want to do this. Is something I can do. I never even dreamed that this
funny. Were you funny in conversation?
If people now come up to me and say, "Oh, when you were a kid, you were so funny," I didn't have a fucking world. Nobody thought I was funny. Context is everything. I did think. I'll go back even further than that. My parents loved stand-up comedy, and my parents used to watch a lot of the, Jack Parr and Steve Allen and the Tonight Shows. Yeah. At night, I'd hear it on when I went to bed when I was little. And my dad used to buy comedy albums, and he'd have them on, and I would hear them laughing in the living room, and I would get out of bed because laughter is a great magnet. And I thought, everybody's having fun. I want to have fun too. So I would go in. I was little. I was about 4 or 5 years old. And I have really clear memories of this. And I'd hear a man talking, and then my mom and dad would laugh. And I felt like I landed in a foreign land. I didn't really understand. So if there was a comedian talking about his mother-in-law, and what the fuck is a mother-in-law? Right. I had no point of reference, and I didn't understand it. But it made me feel like, how could I not understand English? How could I not even communicate with these people who are laughing and having such a good time? And these words don't even mean anything to me. I'm having such a good time, and I don't even understand this. Until Sunday nights, they were watching Candid Camera. And Candid Camera was Alan Funt. And that's kind of my comedy of today, too. But they were watching, and Alan Funt it was the very first prank show. And Alan Funt, because he started on radio, Alan Funt explained to the audience at home that I'm going to do a prank now where I'm going to pretend I'm the boss, and I'm going to hire a receptionist for this office, this fake office. And I'm going to tell the receptionist, you must answer the phone. You must never miss a phone call. I'm going out for lunch, and take messages. What is your task? Well, sir, I'm never going to miss a phone call. I'll take all the phone calls and I'll leave messages. That's all I want. And then he would explain to us that he tied a rope to the leg of the desk, and the rope goes through under the carpet, through a fake wall in the next room. And when the phone rings, they're going to get the phone to ring. When the phone rings, when she goes to answer it, they're going to pull the rope, and the whole desk is going to slide away, which was really easy for me to understand. This was like my first surprise party. I went, oh my God. And I could feel that anticipation. Like, I'm in on it. My parents are in on it. Yeah. I turned to them and I went, oh my God, this is great. This is great. And then the first lady sits down and the phone rings, and I could feel my heart going. The phone rings and she goes to do it. They pull the rope. It goes out, and she is terrified, and a guttural fucking laugh came out of me without, and I was aware. I just went, oh my God. And my parents were laughing too. And I just went, this is fucking amazing. This is amazing. It feels good to laugh. It really does. Yeah. And I think laughter is the best medicine. There's a therapy that exists now where they tell you if you're feeling really down, you should force yourself to laugh. Even at nothing, and then some sort of endorphin will be released and make you feel good.
Have you heard Nate Bargatze's joke about that?
No.
It's basically talking about how dumb our brains are. And it's like, so if one part of your brain tells your mouth to smile, another part of your brain will be happy. It's like, didn't you hear the conversation in the other part of the brain? Like, you're right there.
All right, that's kind of the joke, Neil. I don't think he did it. I mean, he didn't do it great. letting you learn Tennessee yet, so you know I'm from Tennessee. You have a smart part and a dumb part. I'm gonna mess it up now. You have a smart part and a dumb part. And if you're in a bad mood, the smart part, they tell you to fake smile, and then your brain will think you're in a good mood. Well, it's like, how dumb is the dumb part that you can, like, it's right there. They're all in the same head. It's the same brain. So how's it not like, yeah, I hear all this planning going on? That's the gist of it. I think I might have done it worse than you did.
It's on his new Amazon spec.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's so good. It was one of those things when I heard it, I was like, God damn it, that's so funny. Because we all know about the study, and like, the brain is so dumb.
That's brilliant. Yeah. If you're really thinking, God damn, why didn't I think of that?
Yep.
So anyway, the point is that that laugh.
Did it feel like a reprieve from your state?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that laugh was a laugh that's maybe 4 or 5 years old. I'm sitting here 67 years old, about to be 68. And that feeling, that moment felt like, yes, it feels like yesterday. And for the rest of my life, without being able to kind of articulate, this is what I want to do for a living, I've been chasing that feeling. What happened at school, I wasn't aware enough to realize that this is a television show with an audience. I'm not a television show. I have an audience. So I'm renowned. I don't have a GED. I also have been diagnosed with ADHD, which wasn't diagnosed when I was growing up. So I have no attention span. It's really hard for me to sit. I would get frustrated. I would be feel sad, and I'd feel anxious. So I would try to recreate that feeling that I saw on candid camera. So I have a million stories that are great stories now and became part of my act, but they wouldn't endear me to fellow students. And some of them are, and this is before Caddyshack. We had swimming in school. So I threw a chocolate bar into the pool because I didn't want to swim, so it would look like somebody shit in the bottom of the pool. But I didn't have a friend, so I didn't tell anybody that I did that. So now I just have, there's just shit at the bottom of the pool. And people, and I'm enjoying the periphery of hearing people going, you see somebody took a shit in the bottom of the pool, somebody took a shit, well, let's go meet after school. You'll see the shit, there's shit in the deep end. And people show up, like 100 people or 200 people show up at the end of the day to look to see who's shit in the pool. And I show up, I don't have a lot of friends, and then they're all standing there without even thinking. I dived in and came up with it in my mouth, which could be an entertaining story. But at an age when everybody's trying to dress like everybody, everybody's trying to be like everybody, I didn't tell, even if I had thought to tell 2 or 3 friends, watch what I'm going to do. I could have been a little bit of a hero, a comedic little hero, but I didn't tell anybody. So I was just a kid that ate shit. And
so what? All right, I have a couple. Okay. So you dive in. What was your approach? Did you grab it with your hand and then swim up? And when you got,
I probably dived in, put it in my mouth, and turn it in my mouth, and you could hear it. Is
it like chamber. 10 feet down or 5 feet down?
It's probably it's the deep end.
So and then you come up with it, and can you hear how soon before somebody goes, oh?
As soon as the water broke my ear. And it wasn't like, not a laugh, not one person laughed. It was just just oh, and girls going disgusting and running the other way, and like I was just a guy, and then I was the kid who eats shit. That's what I was. And I was
funny is the pool was fine. They went in the pool the next day. You probably were never recovered.
I told the teacher it was a chocolate bar, and they didn't have to, but it was still disgusting.
Also,
and I was immature.
The opposite of OCD is sticking, a pool candy bar in your mouth that's been at the bottom of a pool, and you just bang.
I had to go swimming every day in school. I didn't think of that as chlorinated.
Okay.
It's a chlorinated pool. It was my chocolate bar.
Okay.
I bought it. It was an O. Henry bar. Nuts in it. I went to look.
Sure,
really,
of course.
I put some homework.
A little joke, a little shit joke in there.
I don't know if it was a shit joke. It was. I don't know. See, I didn't articulate. I'm going to do something funny. I'm going to do something like Alan Funt.
So, did you think through what the reaction was going to be?
Never.
You just thought something's going to happen.
No, it's just because this is weird. This is like I'm gonna pull the I'm going to pull the desk
all
out.
right. Well, the Chappelle always used to talk about. It was like one of the first things we bonded over. The unseen audience.
Just a typical unselfish
like
What's the unseen audience?
It's like the audience you have in your head when you say something funny at a store and it bombs, but it's like it worked.
But that's my whole life. My whole life, even to this day, my wife will go, and my mother always did, and my kids say now, they go, who is this joke for? And I always say, for me. And it is for me.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it is for me. There's an old saying, if you could just make one person laugh, that's all I'm going for. And that one person is me. And I need that. That's my survival.
Right.
I need that. And then, things either turn out horrible or wonderful. There's no middle ground. And I love, that's why I'm so big on social media now. I love, more than anything, when they don't get it. I love reading the comments. I love awkward. I love uncomfortable. And maybe I relate to that because that's where I live.
Yeah, you're you're waiting for them. Like, are you uncomfortable?
You're right. But if I can bring and control and bring somebody into my world of discomfort and awkward. Remember, I was in high school. I was 4'10", 89 pounds. No girls liked me. I tried to meet girls, and then I thought, oh, sports. Well, what sport am I going to play at 89 pounds and 4'10"? The only sport I can get on was the wrestling team, and I wrestled for under 90, but didn't think it through. So now I'm wearing a onesie, which is virtually a one-piece bathing suit.
Bathing suit with leg extensions.
Okay, and I'm rolling around on the ground as a germaphobe with a strange other guy, just sweating together and sharing, fluids.
Yes,
everything. I didn't think anything through, and I always ended up in horrible, uncomfortable situations, which brought me to comedy. So what happened is, on that night,
April 17th,
yes,
1977.
I don't dance, and in the 70s, dancing and clubbing was all the rage. Think of Studio 54. So I didn't go to the discos, and I don't play sports, so I didn't have a pickup game of, basketball to play. I'm not a gambler, so I didn't have a poker game, and beyond that, I didn't really have a lot of friends. So they opened in Toronto. They opened Yuck Yucks. And I went to Yuck Yucks to see a stand-up show. I've never seen stand-up live in a room. And I saw stand-up live in that room. And Mark Breslin, who is the owner and proprietor of Yuck Yucks, said if anybody wants to get up and do stand-up, if you think you can do this, you get 3 minutes, I think, on Monday after midnight. And somebody that was there with me said, you should do that. And I went, okay. That's all I said was okay. Like I always do. I will always say yes. And because I'm afraid.
And what do you think that is? That just
I'm afraid of no. I'm afraid of missing out. I'm afraid of no. And now
do you have a thing that happened and you were like, to know again? Did you it's a great thing?
Or no, I have FOMO to the nth degree.
Is that close to obsession? The FOMO thing?
I don't think it's close. I think it is. It's a problem. I don't sleep. I'm up all night on every fucking platform. I want to know. I want to have reference to everything. I use the excuse of stand-up comedy to say if something happens in the audience or something says something, I want to know what they're saying. I hate when somebody mentions the name of an artist or something that's happening, and I don't know what. I'm afraid the world goes on without me, and I'm going light on the word afraid. It's really interesting because we reach an age, I always say this, and it's also what keeps me going is curiosity, but crazy curiosity. When we're kids, most kids, you're really curious. You listen to the radio, you used to listen to the radio, now you stream, you find out what is the best music that's playing.
They tell you, yeah.
They tell you, but you search it. You're turning on radio or listening to your friends. You see what other people are wearing, and that's
now,
what
yeah.
But even then, there was always influencers. Yeah. Whether you wore a Beatles haircut and everybody grew their hair like the Beatles.
Okay, so that's why you dress like you're 23.
Me? Yeah. I don't know. Probably.
I mean, you don't want to use FOMO. It's like, what's the cool? You would always have the coolest clothes.
But I'm actually interested.
Yeah,
so here's the thing. At a certain age, and you can get this from anybody's parents, at a certain age, most people can relax. And they find the haircut they like. They find the way they dress they like. And
Jerry, it's Seinfeld's joke about you dress like the last great year of your life. For the rest of your life.
And that's not only funny, but it's probably true. And then you sit and you go, that's not music. What we had was music. But what we had as music doesn't really speak to anybody today.
Correct.
And I'm more fascinated. My son got me into this too. I would go on to YouTube. At the beginning was the first digital platform that found, like maybe 20
San Antonio trailing
million
here. And now we've got an intentional foul.
100 million people watched. I never saw those kind of numbers coming into something. And then I would read all the comments, because not only did you see that 100 million people watch this, you knew what they thought of it. And they would go, this is hysterical. This is funny. This is the funniest thing I ever saw. And to be truthful with you, I didn't understand why it was funny. I didn't get it, and that bothered me more. I go, 100 million people get the joke, and I don't get the joke. Why?
So you truly is fear of missing it. Like you feel like
the world is moving on.
Yeah.
And they just dropped me in a foreign planet where I can't communicate. I don't know what's funny anymore. I don't know. I just want to be part of it. I just really want to be part of it. I just want to be invited to the party.
Yeah.
That's my whole thing. So that's my fear of saying no, because, as I say, I use this in a motivational way now, but nothing comes from no. Nothing. The first two letters of nothing are no. You're not going to get anything from no. But you may get a huge mistake and a negative from yes, but you can also get, and everything that's happened in my life for survival has been because of yes. So I said, okay, I'll go on stage. In my mind, I don't think of ramifications. So when I said I'll go on stage on April 17th,
you know what's interesting? Because I'm thinking, I say no a lot, and what I'm getting, I know what I'm getting, which is my house, my comfort level, and maybe it's because you don't have a ton of comfort. You're like,
comfort isn't a word. I know. I'm never comfortable.
So if you're going to be uncomfortable, there might as well potentially be an upside.
MP's got
right, you know what I mean? Like, I'm uncomfortable going what restaurant, and I'm like, I just, well, you like that already.
If you talk about another block.
Here's Owens.
Hi. People, like, if you're dating them, will want to do stuff. I personally don't like that stuff, you know that. Other people do. I do occasionally like to go to an event, and you got to get tickets for it, and it's stressful because you don't know where to go, you don't know what's legit. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. Game Time has flash deals and last-minute tickets, easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. They have images of seat views, which I actually like when I'm doing shows at a venue. I'm like, what am I going to look like? Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use BLOCKS, BLOCKS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code BLOCKS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Look, I get why they sponsor the show, because all we talk about is improving mental health. You know about it. You know I've been to therapy 20 years. Talk therapy, hugely helpful. It will just give you someone to bounce your life off of, and they'll show you how to interrogate yourself. Like, what do I mean? What do I feel? It's better than a friend. That's all I can tell you. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/NEAL today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/NEAL. BetterHelp.com/Neil. I'm not going to say it again. BetterHelp.com/Neil. I said it again.
Well, you can see why Clint Capella
Hey, it's Neil Brennan,
in terms of
and I'm here to talk to you
in the NBA.
about
Every season,
the bathroom
close-in
and
shots,
things that
results.
can help you visit the bathroom more regularly. It's
goes
called
to
Seed,
MP.
guys. It's a little
MP's
pill.
got
It's
6
a
assists in the
prebiotic and a
That's the guy they're gonna keep going
probiotic.
to,
I
as they
started
should. The
taking them,
league's only going up if
and
they keep feeding them.
euphemistically,
Time called here.
I've said
San
before,
Antonio decides to
it
talk
gets
it over.
the gets the trains running on time. And let's just say I've been at the train station more often recently. Seeds DSO1 makes it easier to get. That's what this is for. It's for a DSO1 pill, and it makes it easier to go. There's also increasing research on the gut-brain axis, which Seed is currently researching in partnership with Axial Therapeutics. You know, they're the best in terms of motility. They're one of the best labs there is. Start a new healthy habit today. Visit seed.com/NEAL. SEED.com/N_E_L and use code Neil to redeem 25% off your first month of Seed's DSO1 Daily Symbiotic. That's seed.com/Neil and use code, you guessed it, Neil. If you love the train station, are you a train spotter? Then Seed's for you.
You
talk about another block?
Brian Anderson, thanking you for tuning in.
Great. Go.
Well, if I'm comfortable, then if you want to put comfortable in a physical way, what happens is then you just quiet down and sink into comfort. If I sink into comfort, then inside becomes loud. I talk about, I love stand-up comedy is my favorite thing to do because ultimately it's my most comfortable, uncomfortable place. My analogy for that is I love thrill rides. I still love thrill rides. I'll go on roller coasters. And the higher it is, the closer to death.
Where do they shoot AGT?
Where do they shoot AGT?
Yeah, I was thinking if you were at Universal or something, you could sneak in.
No, I'm in Pasadena. There aren't any roller coasters in Pasadena, or that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
But whenever I'm at a park or near a park, a day off, I go get tickets and I go on every roller coaster. And the thing about it is, the higher it is, the scarier it is, the closer to death you think you're becoming and screaming and beside yourself, the better it is. You get off and your adrenaline, you feel alive, and you go, I want to go on again. And in the middle of that, in that drop, you can't think of anything else. It forces you in the moment. And by the same token, so does stand-up comedy. You're in the moment.
Especially the way you do it, which is large. Well, again, I don't.
It's
I
not
saw you a few months ago.
Improvisation.
It's a lot of crowd work and bits, and the crowd work is some of the best crowd work you've ever seen. I would like to reiterate how fucking good. Howie Mandel had essentially a crowd work special that aired on HBO in the 80s, and it was like culturally a huge thing, like a Cat Williams or a Dave or Chris or Mulaney or whatever.
But I understand why rock bands don't want to play their hits.
Right.
You want to. I need to. That's out of necessity. And by the same token,
it seems like your existence is a lot of it feels like escape from Howie Mandel.
You couldn't articulate that better.
Like
if there's one big block, it's myself. I just need to be away from me. This is a block. Whatever this is, and I'm constantly, sometimes literally running away from myself. That's why every day I run miles and miles and miles on the treadmill. Just running from myself.
I know, my brother calls it running the Brennan out of you. My brother runs every day because it's like, I gotta get this.
And I get your brother.
And even Rogan says Joe will work out if he's getting stressed or like overly anything. You work out to the point of like near death, seemingly.
I've passed out many times off the treadmill. I'll run myself. I have AFib. I have heart. I'm okay now. I've had a couple of ablations and I'm on medication. But I'll just run until I pass out. My wife always.
How far is that?
Up until COVID, I was running 7 miles every day. Now I run about 4. But I'm older, and and I work a lot. Yesterday I had a 6:45 a.m. call in Toronto, and I shot a national commercial, got on a plane, flew here, shot something here in the afternoon, then went to a play at night. I mean, I can't. I can't get comfortable. I can't sit down. I can't.
Well, it's funny. It's now that you say it. I mean, your movement on stage, especially back in it was like very antic or.
Well, that's it. So I'll keep bringing you back to the 19th. So I said, okay, if I had to articulate what was thinking then, I thought, that's funny. That's funny. I'm going to get up on stage. I'm not a comedian. Never even thought about being a comedian.
4 to start things off. Got a bit of a pillow fight brewing here.
I don't know that I want to be a comedian. I don't have anything. I'm not going to prepare. Why would I prepare? Why would I put any work into something that I don't want to do? So the joke, if there is a joke, is somebody's going to say, ladies and gentlemen, Howie Mandel.
And just the words Howie Mandel.
Like what? Right. Even to me.
You're not famous. You're not. It's 1977. You're in Toronto. You're Howie Mandel. Like what? Okay.
All right. And I have nothing, to offer. So they go, ladies and gentlemen, Howie Mandel, and I boom onto that stage. I boom on, and the lights are there, and there's applause for maybe, how long does applause last? 5 seconds? 1, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, not even 5. Maybe 3 or 4. And then on stage, it's kind of like this. It ends, and I have no plan, and I look, and I see the microphone there, and the lights are, burning.
You can believe. The first pair on stage are like, how were the lights this bright?
So you kind of look down, and then there's people you can just see the front row. That's all you can see. And there's a lot of strange people. Like, nobody that I know. I had a couple friends in the back, but nobody that I know looking up at me. And they're just looking at me. Waiting. And I didn't think this far. So it just, and as I tell you this story, I can feel the adrenaline. The adrenaline starts pumping. I go, oh my God, this is almost like, the dream where you show up naked at a party or in your underpants at a party. And I start going, and if you look at old YouTube, this is what it was, and it was genuine. You start going, okay, all right, and that was, and they start giggling because they felt my nervous energy of not having any.
It's a very, it's luck, obviously, but it's it ended up being like a hook.
Well, so I go, okay, and they start laughing, and when they start laughing, because I haven't said anything, I'm just trying to come up with something, and they start laughing, I go, what? No, tell me. What? Okay. And they were laughing. I'm going, what? And they would laugh more. And then I had my hands in my pocket, and because of my OCD, I had rubber gloves with me because if I'm out in public, I might have to go to a public restroom, and God forbid I should touch anything, so I have rubber gloves. So I pulled the rubber gloves, and I didn't know what to do, and out of nowhere, I pulled it over my head. I had never done that before. Head like this. And I guess I was breathing out of my nose. The fingers were going up, and they started laughing even more. So I inflated it, and it popped off my head, and the crowd goes crazy. And I go, good night. And I run off the stage, and Mark Breslin is there, and he goes, that was amazing. I go, what was? He goes, you were amazing. You should come back tomorrow. I go, what do I do? He goes, do it again. I go, what was it? Tell me what it was. And he said, no, come back tomorrow. And it was the first time it started settling in. It was the first time. Moments from the realization that these strange people were staring at me and waiting for something,
they're not putting up any
to,
resistance.
getting that terror of not knowing what to do and trying my damnedest not to be humiliated publicly. To people that I didn't know, a large group of people. I'm talking about 150 people. Up until then, I couldn't get 2 friends at school. So 150 people in a room in that moment enveloped me with laughter, and the vibe is so fucking positive. That was the most comforting swaddling blanket I've ever been part of. And I just went, oh my gosh. And I still didn't think this would be a career, but I went, I'd love to come back a couple times a week, just try to get strangers to swaddle me and hold me and like me and laugh at me and smile with me. And it just feels so fucking good. I don't have any, and what are the chances of some, middle class kid, Jewish kid from Toronto who doesn't have any, I don't know anybody in show business. I'm as far from stand-up comedy as one can be. This is the first time I was ever in a club.
From outside the arc.
And how do you even make a living? Like, this isn't a job. But if I could do this once or twice a week, it's really enough. I'll go to the office. I'll live my life. I was engaged to be married at the time. And twice a week, this is going to be my respite. This is going to be. And then.
Well, what's funny is that what you explain, a lot of times you go on stage, it's like a defense mechanism against them kicks in, and your defense mechanism, you already have a defense mechanism against yourself, so it's like your performance becomes like and then right. It's like this push and pull between what it's like to be you, and then like I have to fucking entertain what I have to entertain these people. It's fascinating because I've never heard it. I don't know anyone that's trying to get away from both.
He was inside his own head in that.
It's like I know, and I'm shocked you never did drugs.
Everybody thought I was on drugs. I was afraid. I was afraid of not having. I was afraid of dying. I was afraid of not having control.
Yeah.
I was afraid. You have no idea. Like, everything's scary.
As the game has gone along,
and it just so happened that my visceral terror that I was able to enact outwardly became my happy place.
Yeah.
And then that's by luck. And I've said everything I was ever punished for, expelled for, gotten in trouble for is what I get paid for. I wouldn't think things through, and I would do things in school that got me thrown out. I don't have a GED. I couldn't sit still. That wasn't okay, I can sit. If I did that in class, they would have said, get out, get in the hall, and I would have just so happened that everything came together at the time. It happened to be the 70s. It happened to be the middle of the comedy boom. Right. It happened to be when audiences were there was an electricity that there doesn't exist anymore.
They couldn't believe that comedy existed, it seems like.
And they were so accepting of silliness,
right,
of craziness, of it was a very open time. The opposite of right now, and still didn't pursue it. It just so happened that when I did that, and I started, and then I made Yuck Yucks my little respite, my passion. That was the thing I did 2 or 3 times a week. And because that was a club, people were dropping in that were passing through Toronto. That's where I met Leno. Leno came in and did a set. He would hire people that were already in the business. Mark would hire. So I met Leno, and I'm always incredibly curious. As these people would come in, I would meet them backstage.
Do you have an act at this point? Or do you go on? Do you have a plan?
I would start repeating things, but then I'd realize the more I repeated, the less the laughter kind of worked, the more scared I was. So I would always go off. I think the audience always sense authenticity. But all of the little things that I used to do, Bobby, the voice, the character there, I could do this voice because, I came to it by accident from choking on something, but so I knew that it sounded like a baby, so I would do, I would say filthy, horrible things. If I could say the C word in that voice, it would get a laugh.
Yeah.
I was experimenting with, for the first time in my life, I couldn't control my thoughts, I couldn't control myself, I couldn't sit still, but I found like little buttons where I could, boom, make you like me, boom, you like me.
It wasn't all as accidental as the glove.
No.
Like,
no,
at
then
some
I
point
tried.
You had to
Then I would try.
Bobby, maybe it'd be funny if Bobby.
No, I learned. I watched. A lot of people were more serious than me that were there. And as far as
I feel like Steve Martin must have been like a big one for you.
How do you know that? Yeah, he was the most important.
Because when I think silly, weirdly, he was like the silly. He's like the silliest
He was the first
comic
guy.
ever.
Not only was he silly, he was the first guy, which I thought was kind of deep in
For the lead.
I don't know how to say it, but it was funny because it wasn't funny.
Right. Yeah, that was
the
what
thing,
his
you know.
whole thing
And now I'm going to go do the nose on the microphone routine. And so many people around me, because I remember when I saw him do that, I started discussing it with people the next day. And they go, "Well, that's not funny. He just put his nose on a microphone." I go, "Well, yeah, that's why it's funny." You know, and
I had a question that I wanted to ask that's related to this, which is, did you ever feel out if other people had OCD like you?
No, I still didn't.
Do you ever get obsessed with clams or feathers?
I would never, ever think of even mentioning that I had an issue.
He has 6.
And I would never share that with anyone. Nobody. I didn't share with my parents. I didn't share.
Sure no one else had it? Were you like,
always sure? This is my own fucking. How can anybody else be in my head? How could anybody else think what I'm doing? And I think that is predominantly the issue with everybody that has mental health issues. I don't think there's anybody alive that at some point in their life doesn't suffer from a mental health issue. And whether that's the coping skill of the pressure that work puts on, or a relationship puts on, or your parents put on you, or just society puts on you, or the fact that you're living through a pandemic or whatever. You know, I think everybody, even though we all say, you know, I know everybody's going through a hard time, but nobody's going through the exact same
hard time. Yeah.
Yes. And nobody has the same perspective on everything. But it always feels like they and me to everybody.
Yep.
Even in the best case scenario.
Yeah,
even if
your
you're having
wife is still they. Your kids are still they.
Right. So life is lonely, and you have to figure out how to. Even if you have people with you and that love you, you just have to figure out how to swim with these other people. But you're always, you know, life is like treading water. You know, we're all treading water, and you're treading over there. I'm not treading alone, but if I stop
in our mouth, but it's a candy bar.
Right.
It's called.
But if I stop treading, I sink. Even if you're treading over there. So
okay. How do you want to die? Surrounded by people? Because that's always what I think of.
No, my big
death.
fear is another big block, is dying. You know, and it's so hard.
First minute and a half of basketball played here in the fourth quarter.
It's such my life is totally
rebound by the Hawks.
Enwrapped.
I can see some miscommunication on defense there very clearly. They were super
everybody and my own
them with that mistake.
You know, as my
and so in the game for the Hawks,
therapist so eloquently puts it, you know, nobody gets out alive.
Then there's DeAndre Hunter. And it's
not like
you
could
and cheat it. Wide open look.
You're going to die. And I don't know that I even think about whether somebody's in the room, whether I have a family, whether I'm alone, whether there's somebody to care for me.
Well, that's the thing. When people lose, the family's there to comfort me. I don't know how much comfort is going to be available. Do you know what I mean?
Like, depends. I ask the question now. You know, my mother is in late stage Alzheimer's. My mother was the most articulate, productive, wonderful human being I've ever met in my life. I have a great relationship up until 2 years ago. I never missed one day of talking to her. Now I can call her, but she doesn't know who I am. But which is
how old?
She's 9. But
how do you process that? How do you process?
I don't. It's really, really hard. But and I also, in a selfish way, I go, is this better? Like, we are going to diminish, whether physically or mentally. How would you rather go? Would you rather have all your marbles and be in incredible pain and suffer physically, or would you rather? My mother was totally fit as she was losing her mind, and as she was losing her mind and her memory, she was aware, you know, because she had moments of clarity, and I've never seen anything more excruciating and scary. Watching her go through that,
and watching her know,
she would look at me and go, "Oh my God, you know what, Howie, I didn't know who you were. I didn't know who you were. I don't know you. I don't know you. I swear I didn't know you." And she would be terrified, and I'd be terrified, and I'd hear that. So what is better? What is better? So no matter what, there's no.
Spurs trail
This is
by
going to be the
10.
most depressing episode
Yeah,
ever had.
okay, great. That's what we're here for.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the
But
whole
there's no good way to go.
Yeah,
There's no good way to go. I mean, if you feel like you've had enough, then we should have
Now he's having a great game,
euthanasia.
but his team is losing.
Well, that's
and
what
that is
you.
all
So,
that matters.
do you think she would have opted for it?
Absolutely, absolutely,
Yeah.
and I would too. I don't want to. I don't
Well,
want to
you know,
feel
most
pain.
doctors don't have. Most doctors have they do not resuscitate.
But what is happening for you not to be resuscitated? I would say.
Well, they.
You know, you're going to.
Don't intubate me. Don't CPR me. Just let me go.
I'm for that. But what is the journey to that point? So my point is, if you feel like you've done everything, like today, and you have a family, like, see, the scarier thing for me now is I have the most wonderful family in the world. I have the most amazing wife. I have most amazing kids. I do a podcast with my daughter. I have grandkids. And the scariest thing for me is I don't want to see anything happen to anybody I love. So at some point, I would love to say, okay, everybody's good. Everybody's on the way. Take me out. I feel good today. Put me under. Take me out.
What would be the?
Okay, I'm gonna explain what he did here.
Like, why not tomorrow?
Being someone
I don't know, hypothetically. What is there stuff you?
Yeah, because I think that to be honest with you, it's probably my feeling would be, and this is why suicide is a very selfish thing, because I know people who have had suicides in their family, and it really. As much as that's really selfish of me, because I think that it would really affect the people who love me and care about me.
Right.
So that's why I wouldn't do that. I would never do that.
But you've got to have your own reasons for saying it. Like that. I think the natural state of human beings is like, I want to be alive. Like it's like we just have a drive to stay alive. It sounds stupid to say, but like.
No, I've seen a lot of people who are much older than you and I, who at this point, they go, listen. I did it.
My mom said that to me one time, and I was like, it's so grim. But it was like, she's like, at a certain point, I think we all need a purpose. Yeah. And if you're at an age where you don't need to strive for something creative, you're super engaged, dude. Like, you have a lot of stuff going on.
But it's a fear, I'm treading. I get involved. I get involved with technology.
Well, what's funny is I'm basically, your whole existence is like, I gotta get away from Howie.
Yes.
But you're like, not that far. I don't want to dock. I still kind of want to be Howie, but I don't want to. But like, I want to stay in Howie, but like, it's not always easy.
It is an escape. I don't know if this is a block, but it is a thing. It's distraction. My whole life is distraction. I just want to distract from in here, and I want to distract this noise by making this louder. If this is louder, then I can't go in here. I can't hear this noise if it's really noisy out here. So my whole life is to make it noisy. How do I distract myself? How can I, I said to somebody the other day, they were showing me I don't know, if a video of Bali. They were going to go to Bali, and you see those huts on the water. Yeah. That looks like a fucking nightmare.
That's so funny.
That looks like a fucking nightmare. That looks like, that would be, if there was a heaven and a hell, which I'm not aware of, but if there was a heaven and a hell, that would be hell.
Being alone with yourself.
Even with one other person. Just that quiet. No TV. Nothing to do. Nothing to wake up for except sunshine and laughing water.
Yeah.
I don't know that that couldn't sustain.
Kids must have been a great distraction.
It was. Everything is.
Yeah.
Everything is. Everything is a distraction, and it's a necessity. And I feel like if I physically had to depict what's going on, I'm going to spend all day grabbing.
You don't see it as stress. You just see it as an opportunity to be distracted. Like, I'm going to be distracted at noon, 1, 2, 3, until 1:30 a.m. I'm distracted. I
would never just go to bed early because I've got to be woken up, because I got to wake up at 7. I will only go to bed when I am totally exhausted, and when I hit that, I'm pass out. I can't just lie there and relax. should go to bed because it's 8 o'clock and I got to be up at 6. I will work and work and work.
There's something so funny about now knowing all this stuff. You're just sitting there and it's terror. You're just laying in a bed. It's like white knuckling and like gripping the sheets. You almost have to exhaust yourself.
I am exhausting myself. I am exhausted. But I don't mind it. On the bright side of this, the positive of this, if you decided in life that you wanted to be a boxer, and I think living life is the sport of boxing. That's what it is. And if you decided that's your love from the time you were a kid and you want to go for the gold, you want the belt, you want to be the champion, you're going to need to put in the time where there's no fucking air. You're going to do high altitude training and you're going to be running and you're going to be sweating. You can't stop. You got to put in the hours and you can't give yourself the food that you kind of want. You don't sit and eat your cotton cake and just relax. You got to always fight. And then when you go to those fights, as you're getting up to each level, you're going to get hit. You got to get hit. Nobody's good enough to never get hit.
Yeah. And
those hits are going to hurt, but it's worth it. I know how to. I've taught myself how to take hits. I've taught myself how to repel that. I've taught myself how when I fall down, I'm going to get up. You can make a decision. Listen, I don't want to be a boxer because I don't want to get hit. I don't want to have to get up every day and run 20 miles and work myself to the bone. I don't want to have to lift weight. I just want to sit on a couch. I want to be an accountant. You make those decisions in life. I've made the decision. I feel life is like being a fighter. It is a fighter, and the fight is worth it. And all the positives that happen in my life are worth it. The miracle of my children, of my family, is so beyond anything I could have ever fathomed. The fact that I'm sitting here talking to you today, still in California, doing what I do for a living, is still in my mind, if I sit back for a moment, unfathomable. This is not real. This is not. Everything I do doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem real. What do I do on AGT? What do I do? They pay me to show up and watch the fucking Ed Sullivan show in person and tell somebody, I didn't like that. What kind of fucking job is that? It's not a job. Yeah. It's a treat. But the point is that I everything, my world, if I really sit and think about what my world is, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
That's the thing I said to Hassan Minhaj, which is like,
as you can tell, Danny, we've been asking CT Hezzy some questions to try to distract him. It doesn't look like it's working because he has increased the lead.
That there's a better existence on Earth.
More questions. Just keep moving down that list.
Can you read us Shakespeare and Prince at the same
because
time?
of my fear of saying no, I found it. The one time I said no was 100% wrong.
Still a long way to go.
The best partner in life, my wife, who made me say was Deal or No Deal. I said no to that. In 2005, I was so fucking discouraged. You know, in the 80s, I did a bunch of HBO specials and Showtime specials and cable specials. It blew up. I was playing it for that time, 10,000 seats, 12,000 seats, and then I got on St. Elsewhere, and then I got a bunch of other things.
I told you last time I saw you that it's my favorite, one of my favorite episodes of TV ever is When You Die.
Okay, so
it's amazing.
Right, but then by 2005, I don't think I was selling enough tickets to sell out a club. I was sitting on folding chairs in casting offices trying to get 5 lines and under anything. I had shot a pilot, which I had sold to NBC and got noted to death, and they turned it around, and I was just fucking depressed. I felt like I've been spending my life getting kicked in the nuts.
And by the way, less access to distraction.
Right. So I was really depressed, but I'm also involved. I do other things. I'm involved in real estate and investing and other things. So I said to my wife, this is not good for my psyche because I'm spending too much time. I need to focus on something else. I need to really find busy time. And this is not good, healthy, busy time, so I am out. And then I got a call from my manager, Michael Roper.
Yep.
NBC is calling and they want you to host a game show. And I went, fuck no. And I hung up the phone. And if you put yourself in the perspective of 2005, no comedians had ever done a talk show. No comedian since Groucho Marx doing You Bet Your Life. And as somebody whose currency is irony, and comedy, the game show host was probably the punchline. You know, you would use that as the punchline.
And you're like, you were kind of serious on the show. Whenever I saw
that's it. So I'll tell you what happened. So I said, no, I don't want to. Listen, my career is over, but it's kind of over on my terms. I don't want to put a nail in the coffin of my career with the last thing, and he did the shitty game show. Calls me back an hour later, and he says, they really want you to do it. They said they can't do it without you. And I said, no. He goes, just listen to me. They're putting it on. They've never done this before. NBC is going to do this game show in prime time for 5 nights, Monday through Friday, for 5 nights, for a whole week. They've never done that.
Yeah.
And I go, are you fucking kidding me? I'm telling you that this is going to be humiliating. And you're telling me how much
humiliation it's going to be.
My humiliation is going to be. So no. One more time he calls me and he goes, will you just see the guy? I go, okay, this is like a Friday. And I said, you know what? I don't even want to go in. I'm having soup at Jerry's in the Valley. If he wants to come and talk to me, let him talk to me. I'm not going to. I don't want to drive over the hill for this one. Right. Rob Smith comes over the hill. He meets me at Jerry's. I'll show you in the other room. Brings a cardboard that looks like an 8-year-old did an after-school project. He didn't even go to Kinko's. And he's got 26 little squares that he printed out and which eventually
he brought all the women with the briefcases, all right?
No women.
Huh.
Just Rob.
Just you,
Rob, me, and Soup.
Great.
He goes, pick one of these X's, don't look at it, one of these squares. So that's, you're trying to pick the one with the million. And now, how do we find out you got the million? By opening the other ones and turn them over. So now I'm sitting there eating soup, turning over these stupid little pieces of paper. But there's no game. There's no trivia. There's no game. There's no girls. There's nothing. Because that's the game. Now I think I'm being punked. Yeah, I think this is this is not a game. This presentation, if he spent $1.50, and I mean literally not $150, like $1.50 on this art card and printing out these little squares, this is a joke. Because it's not a joke, it's Friday. And he goes, we can't do it without you. I go home, and I tell my wife, and my wife knows me better than anything. She goes, Howie,
the Hawks have gone 6 of 7 and looking good.
You're so depressed. You don't have anything to do Monday. Just go and do it. Just do it. Do it, and we'll deal with the fallout after.
The Spurs have
she thought it was better for me to be busy.
Shaky start.
So I phoned them back and I said, I'll take the deal. And this was Friday. And I said, okay, so when do you and they said Monday.
Checked in for Atlanta.
I said, well, don't you have to build a set? They said, it's built. I said, okay. Don't you have to hire the girls? You told me it's going to be 26 miles. They're there. Now I'm thinking, how far down the fucking list am I? How many people said no? And a lot of people did. Everybody said no, except me. You know? Yeah. So now I say to them, I'm really scared. And I called David and I said,
just my own showbiz curiosity. Who do you know past
Ellen?
Okay. She had, her talk show was kind of new at that point.
2005, I don't know. 2005, you check it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I know they asked her. I think she was like the last one that said no before me. So,
with possession here.
And you were all at Jerry's? Okay, go ahead.
Ball against MP.
And then I called Michael back and I go, I'm so scared. Michael, this is like, they want me to come in 2 days. All I say is, open the case, pick a case, open the case, pick a case.
It doesn't go
open the case, pick a case. This is not network TV, and it's not, I don't know what to do. Will you do me a favor? He goes, what do you want me to do? I said, give me a budget for 2 comedians. Come in and write with me. Maybe we can write something. So if nothing else, I have exposure. Maybe I can be funny. I can be silly. I can make fun of it. This is not a fucking game. What is this? This is not. So he calls back and they said, okay. So 2 of my friends come over, and we're writing all weekend. And have some really, really funny stuff, I think. Yeah, like really good stuff.
Was the phone thing in it at that point?
Yeah, the banker was going to call me. And everybody was going to call me, but here's what happened. So I walk out. The first day, it's the first taping. I come out from this vault onto a stage. There's like 300 people in the audience, 20 cameras all around. And I'll never forget, I'll show you a picture. It's in the office. First contestant. I've done 500 of these episodes, but I'll never forget the first contestant. I go, ladies and gentlemen, playing for $1 million tonight, Karen Van. And it was this nice young lady. She comes up and I meet her and I said, and as you're supposed to do as a host, I said, tell me about yourself. And Karen tells me she's a single mother. she's got these 3 young boys, and they were sitting in the audience right there. I'm looking at these 3 kids. She's never owned a home. She has no health insurance, and she doesn't live anywhere near LA or New York. So, you know, 20 grand would change her life forever. Yeah, she'd be able to buy insurance. She'd probably be able to get a home, or at least a down payment on a home in 2005.
Very effective so far.
I remember, like, the first joke I made, but this wasn't a written joke, but she said, these are the, her name's Karen Van, she introduced me to her kids, and I said, oh, the minivans. And so what I did there? I said, okay, this is going to be fun. And
Gets a laugh.
And then she pulls her first, and then we see these gorgeous girls come over the pyramid, and she picks her case, which is supposed to be the $1 million. Like, and this is the first time I'm really watching the game, like, because it's really happening.
Yeah.
She picks this, and I pick up the phone after the first thing, and the banker says to me,
all right, guys, what do you
she
think
had her
about
first
the
bigger thing,
hustle stats for
offer her $30,000. And that's the first time it really hit me. I go, $30,000. So I say to her, and I'm looking at her, and I don't know if you've ever been on the set with somebody who hasn't done, who's not involved in show business.
Yeah.
But if they're not involved in show business, it's a mind fuck.
They're like, yeah,
you're doing it. Yeah, they're freaked out. There's lights all over. You don't know where.
No idea that there were lights here, and the camera was going to move on my like,
and all these people around them, and I could see that there's no real focus, and she's in a daze, and I'm talking, but I don't even know if she can hear me. It feels like, you know, like that, Charlie Brown listening to the teacher.
Yeah.
Wah, 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 you know, and I say to her, the banker's offering you $30,000. She goes, no deal. And I just went like, because I'm realizing what the game is. It's just luck. There's no skill.
Yeah.
And you didn't even let me finish my sentence. So you didn't let me finish anything. And I'm going, no deal. You know, you just turned down $30,000. She goes, I want the $1 million. I go, me too. But that came really easy. She wasn't paying attention. And I felt like, maybe I'm making the joke about the minivans, and maybe I'm distracting her. She's not listening to me. And this is not unlike anything I've ever done, stand-up, St. Elsewhere, Bobby's World. This is fucking real. This is a woman.
Yeah.
These are children. I made the joke about them being minivans. These are stakes. And I said to her, like, how much do you have in the bank? And she said she got like $5 grand in the bank or whatever. And I said, but $30,000. How much is a down payment on a house wherever you come from in Iowa or whatever? She goes, yeah, I could do that. I could do that. So this could change your life. I mean, you got to give it more thought. Then I got scared. I had other stuff. I said, I'm not going to. It can't be about me being good. I will never be able to live with myself if I felt like she was laughing and not making good decisions. So I turned off all the comedy, turned everything off, and I said, you know what? It's not about me now. This is the first time I'm within 5 foot of another human being who has children, whose life can actually change. I've never been in this kind of situation.
This is in the first act of the first episode.
So, you know, Saturday Night Live eventually started making fun of my cadence, but I started talking to her and subsequently everybody after that, like I'm talking to a 5-year-old where I want you to know. So the next offer comes in, you know, maybe it came in at 50 grand or whatever. I would say, okay, listen to me. Listen to me, Karen. The offer is
Offensively, it's been a struggle for them.
Yeah, they need to string together some shots
before you answer,
that have any
before you
kind of
answer.
chance. And they're up considerably because of their efforts on the glass.
Now here's MP.
That may be 3 times the amount of money that you have in the bank right now.
Yeah.
They're
that
really
may
dictating the tempo
enough
on both ends of the court.
To get health insurance. That may be enough to buy you a home. You take the $50,000
Ball against MP. Ball passes to Johnson.
Up and try your luck. 6 more cases. And I was like dead serious.
Yeah.
And I would go,
with a rebound.
deal.
They are really struggling to stop
and I
this
really
run.
just wanted to sear that into your mind. I want that to be a real fucking thought. I don't want you to hear a joke. I don't want you to look to your left. I don't want you. I want you to make an informed decision. And she said no deal. She eventually walked out of there with $5 grand.
They're running their
we did
stats well with patience
a recap show a couple years later to see what people did with their money. With her $5 grand, she got her tits done, but which is good. But that show for that week, it was the first time I didn't play a character. It was the first time I didn't try to be funny. It was the first time I said I can't, and I get asked now even today, and I say no. I don't do game shows where I play for somebody else, for you know, a civilian for money. I don't want to be responsible for you losing.
Right?
I don't want that. I can't live with myself. I'll have so much guilt, and it became. I said I couldn't get past wanting you, the viewer, or the contestant, to leave better. And if you didn't leave in a better place than you came with, and I could even fathom in some way I distracted you, I made you laugh, you weren't focusing, you weren't, that would kill me. That's inside my own head again. See, I need to be outside my head. So I put all my effort on making sure you knew exactly what the stakes were. It was always just about the stakes. I'm going to tell you what the stakes are. I'm going to tell you what the value is. I'm going to tell you what it means if you move on. I'm going to tell you the odds of you having the million. I just did that. Finished the 5 episodes.
MP with it.
And when it stopped and it got quiet, I was fucking horrified. I said to my wife, I did fucking nothing.
Perfect use of the pick and roll by
This is not only humiliating as a game show host. I'm a game show host that did nothing. Did nothing. Let's get the fuck out of here. So I bought tickets. We went to a Caribbean island. It's like I just told you about Bali, where there were no phones, where there was nothing. I was in
Turks and Caicos?
No, but it was it's something that starts with a T. I can't remember what it was. I went there and thinking this is like, I don't know what I've just done. And it aired like within 2 weeks. It aired within the week I was there. On that Tuesday morning, it aired.
What were you doing? Were you just paced? Like, you don't like that?
No, we got that morning when it got called. I went to swim with dolphins. I was swimming with dolphins.
Okay, what were you doing like the week?
I made a million. You know, we're gonna go up a mountain on a bike. We're gonna go swim with dolphins. We're gonna go do this. We're gonna go. I'm gonna leave this fucking planet.
Okay.
You know, outings and things like that. We were very busy.
Yep.
You know,
and class.
Yeah, whatever I could do. Just to forget I don't want to hear anybody with an American accent. I don't want to be around. A call comes through for me from Rob Smith. And he goes, "You're not going to believe this." I go, "I'm going to believe this. This is what I'm racing for." He goes, "It went through the roof."
Overwhelmed inside.
Well, what does that mean?
That's why they continue to get attacked.
Monday night. Ball outside. Well, they loved it? What'd they say about me? I did nothing. Oh, they love you. They love you. Really? And I couldn't believe it. And then the next morning, Wednesday morning, because he was talking about Tuesday night, he goes, "The ratings went up." And he would call me subsequently every day until the first week, 100 million people viewed it and loved it, and it became an epic, monumental moment in game show lore. And I got on a plane, I flew back, I landed in Miami. Within 30 seconds of landing, as I come through the flyway, the first person that sees me, that lays eyes on me, goes, "Deal or no deal?" I had a catchphrase. I've never had a catchphrase. You know, and then everybody was going, "Deal or no deal?" And, you know, NBC was in the dumps, and they ordered more. And then it ended up being on every night. It was the biggest thing. They painted my picture on the side of a building. 3 weeks before that, I'm sitting in a deli contemplating leaving.
All right. You see your thing on the side of the building. You think, I did nothing. Or did you think, like, fucking...
You know, it was kind of...
I like it is weirdly...
Now here's MP.
Your obsessiveness.
I don't know, and I
know, but you know, like, hey,
it's MP picking up the
like you're walking her through your worry. Like, if I were you,
it was my worry.
Here's what I'd be thinking about.
Right.
And all the obsession, like,
everything in my life is
5 points in the game.
Yeah.
It's the obsession, the authenticity. My stand-up started on my fear. You know, it just okay, all right.
Johnson.
You know, and what I did on Deal or No Deal was, which is probably my biggest success today. That changed my life more than any one thing changed my life. I shouldn't say that. Stand-up did. But aside from stand-up, and I still do stand-up, but I was so scared because that felt naked, because it was just me. I wasn't trying. It was the first time that I was conscious of not trying to entertain. I was not trying to. I wasn't trying to be funny. I wasn't trying to be dramatic. I was just trying to inform somebody or helping give somebody the tool to be the most informed so that they can make good life decisions. And then, you know, when this took off, nobody was more surprised. And also, that flipped a little bit of a switch in me as far as saying, you know, one fear I lost is the fear of being myself, like allowing me to be more vulnerable. I was already vulnerable because I had spoken publicly on the Howard Stern show about my mental health.
Yeah.
So I was already, but that was compartmentalized. That was like another thing. And now I could bring that into who I was when I was performing, or when I was doing a game show, or if I was hosting, or if I'm judging, or if I'm doing a podcast. There's something about, I don't have to, I feel like my life is a session, you know, and I'm comfortable in sessions. This is a session.
Define session.
Like a therapy session.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you go to a therapy session, which was new to me when I started, I mean, what does it mean when you can, when you do life, you do whatever you do, and then if you need therapy and you need help, you go see somebody. And in that moment, when you go see somebody, everything goes by the wayside. Every kind of barrier that you're putting up, every block that you build yourself, you have these blocks, but you allow them to be there.
You enforce them, you reinforce them. Like, hey,
right,
it's my problem. You know, this is our problem block.
Right, and because you have that problem, that's why you do what you do. That's why you are what you are.
Right.
And in therapy, what you need to do is you need to go, okay, this block here, this is moving that away. And I'll tell you what goes on. And you can be, that's the most vulnerable, supposedly the most vulnerable place to be, you know, because you want to show that wound, you want to show those wounds, you want them to be open so they can apply their knowledge, their bandage for whatever that wound is. And it was the first time that there was something freeing about, it started previously, but there where whatever your wounds are, whatever you're thinking, you know, I'm just going to be me, and you're going to see me fight. You're going to see me fall down. You're going to see me scared, and I'm going to admit I'm scared.
And more importantly, you're going to see you're scared.
And I knew I was scared. Like when I was doing stand-up at the beginning, and I'm going, okay. Everybody goes, I like your act. I never said to anybody, that's not an act.
Right.
I knew it wasn't an act. I knew, you know.
Okay, so it's,
they would go.
So you know it's real.
It was kind of cool that you thought I had an act. I didn't have an act. I'm a terrified guy who didn't write anything.
Yeah.
I didn't have an act. And believe you me, when you came out here to the Comedy Store, it was the meanest place on earth. I was kind of hated because I was getting a lot of accolades and jobs, and there were people that
just for the record, Arsenio Hall told me that Sam Kinison was afraid to follow Howie Mandel. Sam Kinison, one of the most powerful stand-up comedians in the history of stand-up comedy, used to scream, "Why do I have to follow Michael Rotenberg's Canadian friend?"
I did well with the audience. The truth is that amongst, like, my wife, who was always there with me every night, they didn't know at the time that was my wife. She would sit at the back, and she could hear other comics talking. You know, that's not, you know, it's kind of like, and I always said, I'm a big fan of Carrot Top. And I'm a big fan of Carrot Top because
I told somebody the other day, I was like, I would do that act. If he gave me the props and the script, I'd be like, I'll do this.
But even listen, you're one of the most prolific, smartest people I know. But whatever that acumen is to come up with a concept, write it, and share it, is basically, you know, so he has an idea and a concept, and then he wants, instead of writing it or putting it into words, he physically engineers it and puts it in, it's topical. And who can argue with a guy that can sell out a fucking room for the last 15 years in Vegas, and people all across, so that he's successful? You can't knock that, but you know that it's been knocked. Mostly by people in our peers.
Yeah.
And I felt that way too. Listen, I was devastated throughout the 80s. I love David Letterman. Mm-hmm. I love the interview you did with David Letterman. I don't know that I've never shared this with him, nor would I, but I can't tell you how many times I was in the top 10 as a joke. you know, as a joke. They would go, and then, you know, and number 7, we'll make them sit through a Howie Mandel concert. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I was the joke. I was the punchline. That was usually before anybody knew Carrot Top.
Yeah.
Before anybody.
Oh, I didn't know that about you. I legitimately, I was too young, I guess.
Yeah.
To know that you were like.
I was the punchline. I was a punchline for a long time, and it was because I'm perceived as silly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like silly for silly's sake, and not deep, not political, not, you know, what was the substance? Sometimes no substance. It was just my character, just my fear. Just like, oh, how did you write putting a rubber glove on your head?
Over here, gentlemen.
You know, but we are the most judgmental. You know, I think there's great camaraderie in the world of comedy, but there's also great. We're put in a real, and this is another block.
Get right into some transition.
Maybe I don't know how many blocks you do per episode.
It's Howie. It's unlimited.
Judgment
For you, unlimited blocks.
Judgment.
Go ahead.
Judgment kills me, and I'm saying that as a judge on AGT for that, but it really does. I like doing what I do. I want to do what I do, and I want it done, and that's it. And the problem I have, it's kind of like, give you like if I do a show, or if I do a special, or and I haven't done a special in years. If I did a comedy special, people used to say, "Are you excited? It premieres tomorrow." I go, no. I had fun doing it. I had fun on the night. I don't.
And it's the fear of other comics, or was it fear of the
everybody?
Audience?
I
don't get ratings. I don't want to hear whether you liked it. I don't want to hear what you thought of it. And you know, it was really hard when I came out here to LA. You know, when I showed up at Yuck Yucks, there was no. I didn't think of a career, and I didn't think of competitiveness. I was just doing what I did. But what I realized when I came out here, because this was the big leagues, you know, and every night the networks were sitting in Mitzi's corner, that unlike auditioning as an actor or whatever, you are in the room. So somebody gets up and they do 5 minutes, and you're standing at the back of the room, and they're roaring, and they're laughing, and then you go on. You've witnessed this. You go on. Maybe they don't laugh as much as you just heard the other one. So you're going, these people
never happened to me, but I've seen it happen to other people. Go ahead. I have witnessed.
Or you, well,
what happens every
I'm here to inform.
No, it happens every night. Somebody, I probably do, you know, better than one, worse. You know what I mean? Like,
but you see that, you know, when you audition when you audition for a movie or something like that, you're in a closed.
Yeah, you don't know.
They went another way. They didn't want. I'm too Jewy.
You can kind of tell, though, how well the person in front of you is doing.
Right.
You can hear, like, a laugh or, like, okay, bye, yeah.
But that's just
one person in a window and maybe it's...
No, but what I'm saying is it's almost like the club. You know, if you're sitting in a waiting room and you're hearing laughter coming from the other room and everybody's enjoying whatever they're doing in there, and then you go in and everybody's sitting there seriously and they didn't laugh at anything, and you did the reading,
they laughed.
then you go, oh, fuck, I did horrible. Which is not always true. You know, when I got Sane Elsewhere, I thought they hated me. You know, I was sure they hated me. I didn't even understand what I was reading for. I'm a replacement. I replaced David Paymer, played Fiscus for the first 6 days. Do you know who he is?
Mm-hmm.
From Mr. Saturday Night?
Yeah.
Played Billy Crystal's brother?
In Billy's movies.
So I replaced him. But what I'm saying is, you're sitting in this room, everybody's at the back, they're going on next. It's like, go on, laugh at me, love me. Now I go on, you don't love me as much. Now the next guy goes on and they kills. And then you go, oh, fuck, they loved him. And then, you know, when people are getting big laughs, then comics are sitting at the back and going, well, that's so easy. It's a fucking prop. What the fuck is that? He's putting a fucking glove on his head. Like, is that a talent? You know, and those are the kind of things that people were saying, not knowing that my wife was in earshot. So it was just,
there's a clip, like a thing on the wall at the back of the Comedy Store, where you can record your set. You can stick your phone in and record your set. But it's on the back wall where the comics sit. I'm like, I'm not going to risk hearing what someone says about me while I'm on stage. Like, I don't want to deal with it. And
because they're not supportive.
Probably not. And then I go, well, is that my ego? Or am I just a sensitive human being? I would argue I'm a sensitive human being because it's
with an ego.
Here's what we're gonna do.
What? That's the first I'm hearing of it. No, yeah, okay, fair. Like, but I don't know anyone who would want it. I don't read the comments if I can help it. Like, I block words. Like, there's certain shit I just don't want. I don't think it's, and I'm like thick-skinned and I'm like used to getting my balls busted and I have a lot of negative thoughts anyway, but I don't think it's worthwhile to open yourself up to unnecessary criticism. I'm already criticizing myself. Like,
well, because I'm so heavy into social media, I am open to. I've opened myself up to criticism. I am thin-skinned, and I have to cope with that. You know, and I do.
I'm thin. I mean, I am thin-skinned, obviously by my. But I don't. I think it's self-care. I don't think it's like I'm a pussy or something. Because I know most people just don't read the comments. They can help it.
You believe that?
I mean, that's what the dynamic is. Like, that's what people say. They're not reading the comments.
I think when you say that, and you say that publicly, it's a great shield to not get, because then anybody who's going to be negative, I heard they don't even read it.
Yeah, he's not going to read this anyway. Yeah. Well, let them. Maybe I won't. Like, I just hope I won't. All right, here's the question I wanted to ask you. Sensitivity, death, all your blocks. What has helped you deal with them? Like, have you improved on them, and how'd you do it? Therapy, obviously,
the biggest thing, but the biggest thing is outside of therapy was talking about it. Besides the love and care and compassion that my family and my loved ones have and take care of me, one of the biggest, I talked about it in my book, but you know, when I accidentally spewed the fact that I was suffering from something called OCD on the Howard Stern show.
What year was that?
1999, 98.
Yeah, I was just going to guess that. Yeah, it was on the E! Show.
No, it was on his radio show.
Right, no, but they would air it on E! Maybe they
don't know if this was. I don't know if this was aired on E! I've told the story many times, but I was in there, like he did on his radio show. He always had like multiple guests on at once, and he had the guy on that was from Puppetry of the Penis. Mm-hmm. The guy was doing things with his dick. And I started focusing. I'd already gone to therapy, and I had OCD.
This is a long time before the Me Too movement. Men used to do puppetry with their penis. Before Me Too, people loved it.
You're not allowed to do that anymore?
Not as much.
I think they're allowed to. You're just not allowed to have a subordinate.
You can't. You have to tell them. You have to tell them ahead of time.
Well, they can't do the puppetry for you. I need you. She's operating the puppet. Anyway, the point that I'm making is that I saw the guy touching his dick and then leave, and I was just focused on the door because he had touched the door. It was in the summer. I'm wearing short sleeves. He finished his interview with me, and I said, he said, you can, whatever, I can go now. And he said, and I said, can somebody open the door? I don't want to touch the door. The guy touched his dick, and I don't want to touch the door. They go, open the door. I go, no. I went to grab some tissue to open the door with the tissue. They knocked that out of my hand. I went to open it with my shirt. Somebody knocked.
I literally thought you were going to say you open it with your dick. Go ahead.
This is my puppet. But I started to hyperventilate. I was having an anxiety attack, and I said to Howard, I said, and this is funny. I get it. You know, I get it. But I'll be totally honest with you. I've been to a psychiatrist, and I've been diagnosed with something called obsessive-compulsive disorder, and I take medication, and I'm about to pass out. So if you don't open the door for me, then somebody should call 911 because I can't. I'm this close to not being conscious. And he said, sorry, and he opened the door. And I walked out in the hall, and I realized I heard in the speakers in the hall they were still broadcasting. I thought we were in a commercial break. So, you know, this was a national radio show. Yeah, that's what I said. Oh, wow. And my heart fucking dropped into my stomach, and I was beside myself.
Who knows at this point? Your family. That's the list, and probably Rotenberg.
And
what we're gonna do.
No, just my family. Just my wife, really. I didn't even tell the kids. But I thought, oh, my God, this just got nationally broadcast. So this is the end. This is the end. I never felt like the end of the fucking world. And for many reasons. First, this is getting broadcast nationally, so my whole family is hearing it. My kids are of school age. They're going to have to go to school the next day, and everybody's going to know that their father is a mental case, which is a big piece of news, number one. And so everybody I love is going to be humiliated, aside from me. Now that I've kind of said that I'm on medication and I go to a psychiatrist, who's ever going to hire me? You know, when you do television shows and movies, you always have a doctor come and give you a physical beforehand, and now I've kind of let it out of the bag. That it's even worse. I have mental health issues. Why would you hire me? Why would you put me in $1 million productions?
Yeah.
If I could flip out at any moment, you don't know what could happen.
We know the answer because Ellen passed. Go ahead.
So that was my mind. I said, like, what's the best thing to do? You know, I'll go downstairs. It's New York, and I'll just run into the traffic. And I've never felt more dark and more alone than in that moment. And the elevator went to the bottom, and the elevator door opened, and you see the streets of Manhattan teeming, the busiest place on earth, and I've never felt more alone and more lonely. And I'm walking toward the doors, toward the traffic, and the sliding doors, the automatic doors open, and I step out on the sidewalk, and I'm just taking a breath and maybe looking for a countdown to run into the traffic. And some guy comes into my periphery. I didn't turn my head, and he goes, "Are you Howie Mandel?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Were you just on Howard Stern?" And I went, "Yeah." And I don't think my heart could have dropped any further. And right before I took the first step, he goes, and this is before this movement, he goes, "Me too." And I went, what does that mean? And he goes, "No, I have issues too. You were talking about the same thing I have. Thank you." I said, "Thank you for what?" He goes, "I suffer from this too." And it was the first time, it's like somebody threw me a life preserver. I go, "You really? It's not just me? It's you?" And there was a stranger, and that was like this weight got lifted off my fucking shoulder. And at that time, there was no Wi-Fi. We didn't have the internet. And I went home, and in the subsequent weeks, every day I got 50 letters and mail from people going, "I heard you on Howard Stern. Thank you so much. I heard you on Howard Stern." And as much as these people claim that it helped them, I can't tell you how much these messages helped me. So the biggest savior, the biggest opening of a huge block in my life is words. And that's why you doing this podcast is really, really important. It's not only, I told you, I listen to
People
it.
tell me I get messages every day. People thanking me.
I was really honored that you would ask me to be part of it. I love you. I love what you do. And I love the special. But I just think that the fact that you've created a forum, because I know how much this helped me.
Yeah.
A forum where people are open.
And it's also, it's probably still staggering to you how many people are like living their you in the elevator. And then someone like you, in this case, it's OCD, in my case, depression, or people have anxiety, or Taylor Tomlinson talks about, or Taylor talks about bipolar, and Mulaney talks about drug addiction, and all these things. And people are like, fuck, oh, yeah.
Well, I don't think there's anybody alive, any human being, that at some point in the span of their life, they're not going to need a coping skill. Mm-hmm. Things like OCD and clinical depression and bipolar and schizophrenia are manageable issues, if taken care of. It's hard to find where you can get that managed. That's the other thing. And they're debilitating. But I'm beyond that, just life is hard. Mm-hmm. And I think that people have a hard time coping, and they don't go, becoming a parent is the most overwhelming thing. It's joyful, but it's also, there's a lot of pressure. Losing, you talk about the economy, losing a job, not being able to pay your rent.
Dealing with what you're dealing with your mother.
Dealing with what I'm dealing, or dealing with the loss of loved ones and family members, and dealing with the trauma of your upbringing, and dealing with there isn't anybody alive, and it's so unbelievable to me, and I say this a lot, that we don't take care of our mental health the way we take care of our dental health. And if somebody, you'll go to the dentist and get x-rays and go, "Look, Mom, no cavities. There's nothing wrong," and you're getting checked. Why is it not part of our curriculum where we can just openly talk or go to somebody and find out, get coping skills and figure it out? And I think that would be the solve to most of our world's problems.
And that would be
violence.
Yeah, no, of course. What I was going to say is that would be, you know, I always ask people what the movie of their life would be and who would play you.
Undergoing possibly the worst finals collapse we've ever
what
seen.
would be the arc of your life
and
who plays Howie Mandel?
Kevin, if we're being real, probably not. But if they're to have any chance, they can't worry
you
about
asked that
what's
question.
they need to find something that works
I can't
tonight
relate to any movies.
Take this thing one game at a time.
Not a movie.
And the starting group for the Spurs.
I thought we were out of blocks, but
Owens.
fucking here.
He's out there with Lonzo
Didn't see this
Ball,
one coming.
and it's Johnson in at the
writer's block.
I've never heard someone say, I can't relate to movies.
No,
I
have a problem.
Yeah,
I do have a problem. I'll be honest with you. It's like jokes. I don't like fiction.
Take a lot of great nights for
don't like. I love
people are so fucking hilariously interesting.
Why?
That you just don't like fiction. I've never heard someone say that. My nephew one time, or someone said to me one time, I don't like music. I was like, what? But yeah, we don't like what we don't like. You don't
I don't like
fiction.
pretending.
Yeah.
I don't like. I can't get into. I can't. You know what? I think it's because I'm so dark on the inside.
Right.
So I can't lose myself in somebody pretending to be somebody they're not, to pretend that they're in love. I mean, I can't get into it. I love documentaries.
Me too.
So my movie would just be a documentary.
Great. All right, here's the question I wanted to ask, and I think I know the answer. But
and in that one, the backups came to play, gave the team an infusion of points.
Deal or no deal, Howie?
Put them over the top.
Well,
you
I talked
get
to the assistant coaching staff. What they were stoked about is that
a new life.
Came in
you start over.
Well, so punch off the bench.
You're comfortable.
In that win.
You don't have OCD.
Following the basket by MP.
You're not a comedian.
Lonzo Ball is a very big guard and can be effective as a rebounder.
Don't worry about
so
feathers.
Work there to get
you don't worry about death.
Points.
You have easier existence.
Gets it to go on the assist
or
MP's got 6
stay
points.
you.
Just setting the tone with an aggressive move to the rack, and where's the help defensively?
Feathers and spinning
AKB sent out to try to find out where the defense
deal or no
is.
Deal.
Inexcusable. Still searching
No deal.
out their offensive
with all the
game
darkness,
right now,
with all the
on
blocks,
the field to start
comes
this one.
beauty.
He makes
with all the
one.
hits,
4 up and 4
with all the
to start his
knockdowns,
game.
with all the cuts, with all the bruises,
fantastic,
that
and is
belt,
a big part of why
gold
they've
belt.
been able to get these
Painful.
good looks.
But it's worth it. It really is. I'm not
you just need a bucket
unaware
to
who I have connected in my life.
No good. Shot
of
missing.
the experiences that I have experienced and continue to experience that I cherish.
Here's MP.
But I have no gray area. My life is black and white.
Yeah, 3
that white is so
consecutive field goals
bright.
have come right
Even
at
though the
rim.
black is really dark,
He had better
I'm
start
not going to give that up.
down.
In fact, the deal sounded boring.
Howie Mandel.
Young against Ball. Pass to Gardner.
Appreciate it, bro. Feel like I know y'all. I don't know y'all. I feel like I know y'all.
What's up? How you doing?
Oh, nice to meet you.
Right. What's up, boss man? All right.
Good work defensively by
Hey,
Capella.
TP.
There's a little bit of pressure on him, but not enough to cause him to miss a shot that's in that close.
How you doing?
I mean, I like the call. I thought the defense was just there a little late.
Atlanta making some changes. Humphries checked in, and Griffin subbed in for Kenrich Williams. MP deciding where to go with it. To the paint. Here's Hunter.
What's up, man?
Lays it up and banks it in.
And they have owned the paint so far, and the score reflects it.
Yeah, the bully ball tonight has paid dividends. Highly effective down there with the physical play.
His house is so
Here's
big.
Wesley. Out to the right wing.
Chris, where you went? Oh,
From about
you was with
19
Kingston.
feet,
And y'all went down there.
Headshot off.
Y'all went out there
So
because I got my kids'
the
location.
other way.
Right. And so they was with my building. I was like, okay, we thought they was at their house.
Joe
then I looked at his
passes to
location.
MP.
And he was in San Diego.
7-foot
I was
shot,
like, oh,
and he
where
nails the jumper. MP's got 12.
And this has been a great job of just getting into the middle of that defense and really scoring effectively from the paint.
San Antonio calls the first time out of the game.
And Coach can't be happy, and I think I know why. Their defense putting up no resistance inside.
No, they're not preventing them from scoring, and if you can get to a high-efficiency shot on the floor, and that's the paint, you just keep going.
And the Hawks making a change here. Bombas check in. Oh, here's Drummond. Passes it to Wesley.
High school part. Crazy, man. I tell y'all, I mean, football different, but like with us, like I'm in the locker room with guys that's closer in age to my kids than they are to me now.
With the
right? You know what I mean?
The main thing we get with Bamba,
who was it?
imposing
Y'all know
defender,
JJ, right?
shot blocker,
JJ was my
alters
teammate
everything in the paint.
When we first met, he didn't have any kids, right? Me and my wife sitting with him and his wife, and they was like, you know, it's a lot of people be like, we're just gonna enjoy each other and have kids later.
Ball movement, they're picking them apart with their passing.
Next thing you know,
there's 47 seconds left to play in the first quarter. Spurs trail by
and I
17.
Never thought about it. You
the
just
pass to
what's dope about having kids like that, though, is your kids got a chance to see you play.
And the rejection by
so I say that I'll be talking to Dad.
And we're going to have a jump ball. It's tied up there.
But I'm so happy that
and we got to take a second look to admire that outstanding block.
You know what I mean?
And this is postseason play at its finest.
That's a big thing. I tell guys all the time, be careful who you procreate with now. So,
it also, pays to have a strong 18-year career.
And the Spurs with possession.
Jordan
pass to Wesley.
He broke
wide
us
open
down
look.
every walk on Saturday.
Here's Drummond. And terrific work on the offensive glass, and he picks up 2.
He was the babysitter.
If he didn't
like
run one play for Drummond all night, he still might get into double digits. He's that much of a force on the offensive glass.
Just 2 seconds between shot clock and game clock. And it goes down 2 points.
And that's 10 straight points in the paint. The defense. Nowhere to be found.
I used to always be like, Coach, where's
Spurs trail by 17.
And Coach used to be like, man, I try to not bring
Here's
him
Wesley.
around. I was like, oh, Coach, no.
Rebounded
We all
by Joe.
together too much not to.
Can't punish the defense
for
for leaving him open that time. That's a frustrating miss for a really steady jump shot.
And so it's MP making things happen for the Atlanta Hawks. He totaled 14 points in the quarter. He's given them all the offense they need right now.
You got to bring them to practice sometimes. You got to let them see what you doing, because you think they just gonna make it off your last name.
And we welcome.
That's what's not. Coach son, real nice too. Really, he one top 5 players in the country now.
And the Spurs making a change here.
9th grade.
Here's Ball. He's got 10. Here's Owens. And the rejection by MP.
It's really
a slight advantage
like
for
all
them
the
in
dudes
the
that I
rebound
watch
department,
play,
but
it seems like all of them there
is all it takes.
So with
But
Johnson
football,
on the bench,
not everybody.
here's how the floor
Not
looks for
everybody
Greg
wants to do
Popovich.
Not
They
everybody
got
wants
Drummond.
to do it.
Owens is out there with Ball, and it's
I played
Sloan
football.
in at the 4.
Like I played varsity football as a freshman and sophomore, and I was on the JV basketball
Now
team.
here's Owens.
Like I'm the way
Defense
I am
right
because
on.
I played football, right? Like straight up, I'm the way I am
Here's
because
Drummond,
I played
and
football.
they call the foul,
I
so
won't
he's
let
got
it.
the and one
I
chance
won't
here to
let
make it a
Think
3-point
about
play.
it. This sounds crazy.
They did
I don't know
a better
if y'all
job of
take
getting it
on
inside in
football
that
and all that.
first. They've lost some of that physical edge here.
It's so many
Hawks
more
making a
guys who
switch
play
here.
football
Joe's
who
checked
won't
in.
let their
And
kids
San
play.
Antonio also
That
making a
ain't the case
switch.
with basketball.
Wesley's checked
You know what
in.
I'm saying? It's different.
But I tell you, this is what changed my mind, because I got 11-year-olds.
Not watching the line there. That'll be a backcourt violation.
And you know, Pat
Another
Surtain,
turnover there, but guys,
he
overall,
played in the league. He's a Pro Bowler back in the day, and now his son was a first-round draft pick. So I started talking to Pat, and I was like, Pat, man, you know, all the head injury, all that stuff.
Right.
Like, what was your decision to let little Pat play?
Just under 3.5
He said,
minutes
man,
played
if
here in the
God
second
gave him
quarter.
the gift to play at a high level at this, I'm the one stopping. And that's what made
Ball
me change.
feeling it out of him.
I respect
Sometimes
that, 'cause it's so
Lonzo's got to
crazy
put
I say
the
that.
defense
I
on their
started
heels and
playing
start
tackle when I was like
attacking
5 or
with
6.
some aggression.
Right?
And that play,
Like,
he
I
did so.
love
And let's
football.
take a moment, guys, to get your take on the scoring so far for Atlanta.
Everything was football.
And right
You know
from
what
the
I'm saying?
jump, they've
But
been
then
working hard to
he played
establish
like
themselves inside,
nice.
using
He was out
agility
there when he
and
wanted to play
power
tackle.
to get shots
I
in the
didn't let
paint.
him. Right? And I almost
Let's
be
make
mad
sure
at
that
myself
that
sometimes,
selfish
because you look
nerve
at a lot of the
doesn't
best
get tapped,
basketball
because
players
right now
because we
there's
played
great
football.
ball
That's
movement,
like, I
they're
like the
setting each other
contact
up. Let's see if that maintains.
Because of football.
It's also a certain level of athleticism that goes into it.
And
that
Andre Drummond taking the physical approach on the ring.
The Hawks leading by 5. Where in basketball, you know, I tweeted it during the game. I was like, man, it would be hard for me. One, I ain't got the skill to play basketball tonight, but it would be hard for me to have to fake soft.
And
you know what I'm saying? For me to know a man is pushing me and to not lean into the push, or to not push him back, or to not be physical. To have to let him push me and almost feel like, oh, I'll let you win. Yeah. Like that
Williams has got his 5th
You
assist
talking
in
about
this
when
one.
Brian flying to the 4th row? Somebody touching him?
826, 826.
Yeah, Brian, nobody ain't pushing Brian to the 4th row.
It's crazy because, like, sometimes somebody do something to you, you embellish
over
it
to the wing,
or whatnot, because you're trying to get a foul, you're trying to get possession. Like that,
shoots from the high post.
But what you're saying
and
is so
Humphries
real.
with
Like,
the rebound.
It's crazy because I talk about my kids.
And so
right here,
MP will bring it up for the Atlanta Hawks.
I get so frustrated.
17 points was their biggest margin. Down low,
right?
Williams.
Like, he knows.
And it's Williams.
I be on his head. I be like,
pick and
play
roll to
something else.
perfection.
And I
MP
think
putting
about
that
it,
pass
like,
right on the money.
Like, all the
There's
stuff
10 seconds left to play here in the second quarter.
You had to do 6 inches, right? You was getting your abs strong. You didn't even know. Like, all this different type stuff.
He's off on that one.
I'm always with him now, trying to make him do push-ups to get him stronger.
And so it's the Atlanta Hawks.
You wasn't lifting weights, but you
comes to a close.
Sort of was.
Their lead is
you know
right in because
all
they've
the
gotten
stuff,
good
them up
shots.
downs,
all that stuff
in the ring.
That you did for punishment, that indirect stuff, that made you better. It made you stronger physically. And I always go back to, in terms of the kids in sports, and if they want to play this sport or that sport or football, exposing them.
And we're back with you as these two teams do battle in their quest for an NBA championship. You look at MP in this one, he's been everywhere.
Ways to podcast, but it's only one way to pivot.
To the table
so
on full display through the first 2 quarters.
Doing a great job of just setting guys up and demonstrating just how important ball movement can be.
Williams is out there with DeAndre Hunt. Then it's Clint Capella. Then it's Trae Young. And it's MP, and it's the shooting guard. That's the group starting the second half for Quinn Snyder. You know, Greg, we've seen a nice game from MP. He's had the advantage in this matchup with Owens.
Man, welcome to the pivot. Chan, I'm RC. That's a great team.
To get the
to our
better
partners,
of
Happy
Owens,
Dad, we
making
appreciate
the most of
you
what
guys,
he learned
DraftKings.
in college.
I mean, I
they
think
have been
we've had enough
dominant
conversation.
in this game. That's
Bro,
definitely
your
been
career
a factor in cracking this huge lead.
18 years, 12-time All-Star, 2013 All-Star,
the feed to ball.
MVP, 11 All-NBA
slams it in.
9 times.
And he knew it right away when he let the pass go. Owens with
my
a beauty to his teammate.
New Orleans Hornets.
Young dishes to MP.
NBA PA president from 2013
over in the corner, Williams.
to 2021.
Young
Largely
outside.
responsible for the bubble.
A three from MP.
Said that you actually
rebounded by the Spurs.
kept basketball going.
And he didn't punish them for the weak coverage there, but they can't count on him to continue missing.
Shot.
And it's Johnson
and so
penetrating.
I just think there's so
it's
much
good.
that goes into
the assist that
we
time
want
from
to get
Ball.
into. But with all of those
Ball's got
accolades, you're
4 assists
also
now
an
tonight.
author on June 20th with 61
Young
life
looking
lessons
around.
from Papa
The teardrop
on and
falls in.
off the court.
Young's got 13.
You had a joke where
So
you
tricky
said
there with the
that
floater and
the
a
Cedric
nice
the
touch from
Entertainer's
Trae
kid
Young.
with the cigarette
Spurs
in the
trail
mouth,
by 9.
dude fixing your carburetor, but talking to you, never dropping
Owens
a cigarette,
passes to
and
Gardner.
just somebody who embraced the entire community.
Pass
He
to
was not
Owens.
only blue collar, but blue pants,
Now
had the red
Ball.
rag,
6 on the shot
red
clock.
name stitched
Off
on
target from
his
3-point
shirt.
range.
He committed to Wake Forest. There was one hat he was
Hunter,
wearing,
bounce pass.
and shortly after
And
that,
they call the
you're
foul,
at a
so a
football game.
chance at the line for
and
one
you get
more
the phone
coming
call.
up.
I'm
Take us
sorry,
through
that's poor defense
that
down
night
low again.
and
It's
the
been a
events
mismatch
that
thus far
transpired
in the
after
paint.
you got that phone call.
And he's got his
Man,
first
of
chance
all,
at the
thank
line
y'all
here.
for having me.
Griffin's
It's an honor and a privilege, man. I watch you guys and see you guys and all the conversations you have, and I tell you, sometimes I see it and I be like, damn, I want to tell
20
them this.
seconds
I wanna
left to
tell
play
them
in the
that.
third.
You know what I mean? But I appreciate it. But what you were saying was that day
Inside.
was a day I never forget.
Capella.
I mean, it's been 20
It's a
years
nice
now
pick and roll there.
since that
Capella
happened.
slicing with
And,
purpose after he sets
I
the
was at
screen
a high
and
school
ready for the
football
ball.
game, got a phone call from my brother.
There's 10 seconds left in the third.
CJ had drove down for my signing, and he had went back to school.
Here's Owens.
And he said, I'm coming home.
No good with the triple.
And I was like, what you mean you coming home? You was just here.
And so it's Atlanta. 13 points up at the end of the period. What a night they've had in terms of their shooting. Everything dropping it.
And as I'm going to the car, I see one of my cousins.
And now we have a moment to reveal our State Farm assist of the game.
Right. And so at 17,
I'm glad this was the pick because I love this pass. Such a great dish. That's what I call court vision.
That was tough.
Well, a great job with the eyes. And what separates great playmakers, as we know, is peripheral vision.
Things like that, that's a lot easier to deal with.
And there have been two very different performances from these teams today as we get going in quarter number 4. So with Johnson sitting on the bench, here's how the floor looks for Greg Popovich.
Was that stressful for you? Did you take over?
And
was
it's
a
Sohan
thing?
in at the
How
three.
did you replace?
Greg, taking a look at this MP versus Owens matchup. They have been just about neck and neck all game long.
When guys win,
the relative closeness of skill makes this rivalry
and my mom
so fun
don't
to
get it
watch.
twisted, but my
Neither
pops
guy
is
able to just
like a real
dominate
dad.
the other.
You know what I'm saying?
In this
He always been
Tonight,
that for my
MP
family.
is going
My
old
grandmother
school.
died when I was 8.
Showing off his mid-range game.
I'm from Winston-Salem, Tobacco Road, so everybody smokes cigarettes.
And his team by surprise.
Everybody.
We don't see a lot of
my
guys
class field
utilize
trips as a
that area
kid
of the
was to the
floor
tobacco
anymore.
plant. Right,
And
so
sometimes
everybody
the
had
script writes
COPD or
itself.
whatnot.
Shep Owens with
my
a
grandmother died
monster
of lung
night.
cancer when I was 8.
I bet
my
this will make
grandfather's
his
wife.
reality show.
And at her funeral, he like put his arm around me, and I remember I'm very visual. I remember how my mom and my aunt
and the Hawks lead by 14.
When she died, me and my grandfather got even closer.
That's one of the
easiest
shots he is ever going to see.
Yeah, feels like Christmas right now, just gift wrapping points.
Papa, they tripping. Papa, come get me. So after church, I would ride with my granddad. And my granddad was the first person I knew with money. Like, but like real money.
Shoot.
You know what I'm saying? Like, my granddad used to have a fat wad of money in his pocket. Right? So I just saw the way.
And no doubt, they'd love to see him
get
a
like
lot
being
more
older now. That was 20 years ago.
And that deficit will go away quickly if he does grow.
My granddad never went on vacations and stuff because he just worked.
MP passes to
and
Hunter.
I think sometimes we find ourselves doing that too.
Spreading the wealth. MP just has a knack for doing that on and off the court.
I did take on a bit of responsibility, and I knew what I wanted to do for me and my family.
So the title of the book, 61,
about a minute and a half into the fourth quarter now.
That is passing. And the day after, you had a basketball game in which you scored 61 points. So my question to you is this, Chris. How in the
Rebound by the Hawks. Capella's got 7 rebounds in the game.
And frustration
and with the success they've had rebounding the basketball, they're right where you'd expect them to be, firmly in the driver's seat. And they've had assists now
so
on their last 3 baskets.
On that number. Like,
to the wing on the left.
How in the hell were you that fucking good? And that upset at the same
Here's
time.
Sohan, defended by Griffin.
Oh no, like my dad still has the tape.
And
like, my dad is
Owen.
the hoarder. He has everything.
Here's
so he has
Sohan.
the tape. So I've watched bits and pieces of it,
there with the
especially with my
three-point
kids,
shot.
so that they can see it.
Well, even though he misses that one, the defense
like
has got to talk about that. That's a bad miscue, and you can't give up looks like that all game long.
Yeah, the chemistry has been terrific. Really impressed with their offensive execution.
Spurs trail by 18. They could use a big shot here to get this offense going.
Too many empty possessions. Right
my
now,
dad was assistant coach.
Time called here. The Spurs decide to talk it over.
Giving up a run here. Can they turn it around?
Hard to say right now. At this point, I've seen the coaches run through 2 or 3 iterations of defense. Is there a fourth? I'm not sure.
Mr. Jones' grandson. Right? My granddad was...
And now we present our New Balance Player of the Game, MP.
Sensational game for him in terms of shooting efficiency. He's taken nothing but high percentage shots. That's how he's managed to hit over 60% from the field. I mean, making just about everything he's looked at.
And you know, his performance tonight is going to make the championship all that much sweeter for him. He knows he has been the biggest factor in earning them that trophy.
Hey, watch back door.
For those just joining us, fourth quarter here. We're just over 2.5 minutes into it. Johnson can't hit. The Hawks leading by 18. Now, here's MP. And the officials will call the illegal screen right there.
Beyond the leaning, you could see his feet weren't set on that screen. Easy call.
Got to hold firm or you're going to get a call.
And that rejection had some mustard on it. Huge, huge play.
Well, they didn't make it this far by giving up easy ones. And now their defense is in overdrive.
Johnson outside. Nice ball movement by San Antonio. Here's Sohan. Clock at 6. And he drops in the layup off the glass.
One of the more skilled offensive players that is on the floor here tonight. Not an easy fella to hold in check.
Outside Williams. MP against Ball. Got a piece of it. And it's Williams finishing it off.
They're in total command of this game with time starting to run out.
Yeah, looking for a miracle worker out there is the opposing coaching staff. I don't know that they have one. This game seems to be well in hand.
Johnson kicks to Owens. Here's Ball. It falls through, making him 6 for 11 in the game.
And wow, that's the end of an epic journey taken by both these teams in unbelievable fashion. Get the NBA title rings ready, folks, for Atlanta.
And guys, the fast break was run, I thought, beautifully all night by these guys. I think that was a big part of their success.
Yeah, they definitely ran the break well. A big advantage in that category, and they continue.
And that's it, folks. The Atlanta Hawks have won it all.
90. The Spurs, 65.
What a moment it is right now to see the team who played so well together enjoying this NBA championship moment.
Well, this is a historic moment for these players and that coaching staff. And trust me, Kevin, they're going to enjoy every minute of what's coming to them, a night they will never forget for the rest of their lives.
And seeing this team come together over the course of the season and on into the playoffs, what a joy. I mean, there is no better champion the league could have asked for.
And a pleasure here at 2K Sports to be with you all season long. Good night, everyone.
But outside of that, you mentioned your father, Charles, being a real dad. Obviously, Mr. Nathaniel Jones, your grandfather, was a real father. And the scoring made me think about it. You scored 41 in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals. And before you cuss and leave, you say, I wish my son and my family was here. And there was a story written about you afterwards about how you're not only debunking Father Time, but you're debunking the black myths and narratives of fatherhood. How important was your upbringing, having two men like that in your life, to teach you how to be a father to your children and a husband to Jada?
Man, I'm going to tell you this, man. I'm glad I'm here to speak on this. Sometimes I just feel like I'm always doing the work, right? Sometimes people who talk do this and do that, but I just feel like I always just try to put my head down and do the work. And I'll never forget this. I need to go back and see who it was, but some of the talking heads some years ago. You know, certain things you may not speak on, but you pay attention. We was playing against the Lakers.
What's up, everybody?
This was when I was with the Clippers. And it was our
Congratulations on winning the Finals MVP. Right?
Nate, my man, thank you, man. Hold on. I just want to give a shout out, man, because you've been here since day one, bro. Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. When you got drafted last year, did you ever imagine this happening like today?
Honestly, man, I ain't even going to sit up here and lie to you. Nah, I didn't. Of course, I dreamed that someday, I'll make it to the finals and I hit the game-winning shot. I think every kid growing up had that dream in their driveway. You know what I'm saying? But for it to happen so quickly, nah, man, I had no idea.
Wait, but really, at what point did you think this team was a serious contender for the title?
Ooh, I'd probably say like around All-Star break. You know, that's kind of when it started to feel like, okay, you know, we can compete with anyone in this league kind of thing, you know? And it took a little longer for it to prove it, you know, but the seeds were there. They were definitely there, so we started believing in ourselves from that moment on, you know? All done? All right, thanks, guys.